Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of Unstoppable, and today we are with Cory, a property real estate entrepreneur. He is the owner of Haus Realty Group, and most of his success is in the way that they packaging the deals, right? So Cory, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. My name is Cory Duncan. I am a real estate broker, entrepreneur based here in Waco, Texas. I have been in real estate for about 17 years now.
Wow.
And so, yeah, a long time. I'm going to be an old man in the game now. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Married, 2 kids, and just operating this business.
So tell us about real estate. What happened? Why did you decide to become a real estate entrepreneur?
It's a funny story. So I had a mentor growing up. His name was Paul J. Meyer, very successful, one of the pioneers in the personal success, books and programs. And so when I had the pleasure and opportunity of being a mentee of his and meeting with him consistently. And so I was about 13 years old, and we were having a lunch, which we did fairly frequently. And I said, if you were me, what would you do for your career?
And that's what you were asking when you were 13 years old?
13 years old.
Oh
13 years God. Old.
What a good question.
Yeah. And truly his answer was real estate, and I was sold. I didn't need, he had shown me so much at that point in time that I trusted him, wholeheartedly. Wow. And that was the decision.
So you were clear that when you want to do real estate. That's fantastic. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, but tell us so what happened if your parents are real estate investors? Do you have any indication from home? Do you have an uncle that was an investor real estate? Anyone in your family was investor?
So a lot of that came from Paul. My mom is a CPA, and she was his, the personal and trust and all of that side CPA for Paul for 31 years until he passed. And so I watched him, purchase and develop real estate along other companies. And so he really was kind of a guiding force in that decision. And so, I remember growing up, we lived.
Why do you want to be like him?
Go ahead.
Why?
Sure. Yeah. So it wasn't just his financial success. It was his influence and ability to, to give back and make such an impact on such a large scale of people, right? Internationally known. And so, yeah, I think that made a big impact in my life.
But then one thing is, I want to be a property entrepreneur, and then as a kid, I have this idea. But kids, they change their mind all the time. When they are 13, they want to be property entrepreneur. When they are 14, they want to be a fireman. When they are 15, they want to be a police. So what made you to stick to the plan to become a property investor, a real estate entrepreneur, and how you started for real?
Okay. So I think that real estate always fit my personality. I was always had some sort of hustle. Here in Waco, there was one place that would hire me at 14 years old, and that was IHOP. And so the week that I turned 14, I went and interviewed for a job, and it's just because I wanted to make and use my own money, and so that it was always kind of was in my spirit, if you will. It's kind of in my composition. And so I worked that job all the way, weekends and summers through high school, and then it was just I felt like real estate fit my personality. It fit my goals and my plans, and and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the concept of, income production on a property level where it's very like tangible. I still appreciate the tangibility of a real estate asset, and the underlying factors, like people will always need a place to to live. People will always need a place to conduct their business. Even as that changes, the fundamental fact is that they're not making any more land, right? We can always build on land, but we're not making any more of it. And so, those, again, it really just like fit with my personality. And so, how that came to fruition, knowing that I wanted to be in real estate, the simplest and most logical way, when I was 18 years old, as soon as I could begin to take my real estate courses to get my license, I started that process, and then got licensed in 2007. I was a sophomore in college, and really, one thing I've learned is that if you are looking for something, you're going to find it, good or bad. If you're looking for it, you're going to find it. And so anytime I heard someone doing something, I would gravitate to that person. Someone doing something in real estate, I would gravitate to that person, and learn as much as possible, adapt my own plans. And so truly, I got into a business where we were converting apartments apartments into condos near the campus in Austin. And a week and a half in, I raised $1.25 million in capital, and it really kind of started the ball rolling from there, using other people's money first, right? But we did a really great job, and so that started the ball rolling. Had the brokerage going at the same time, and it evolved from there.
Yeah, but let's face it, because everybody think that, oh yeah, real estate is easy. You just buy the house, you rent it, you add value, and you make tons of money. It's not as easy as people think, right? If you buy the wrong house, you can actually lose money and be negative
Sure.
equity. You can be
Yeah.
in trouble if you don't know what are you doing. So how you navigate, how you actually learn, and what if one of your major setback that you have in your property business career?
Yeah. So it's true that all that glitters is not gold, right? Especially in this property realm, in the real estate realm, and it is attractive. Let's talk about the brokerage side specifically. You see a lot of people getting licensed because it's attractive in the way that what they see from the outside is, a realtor goes and shows 4 or 5 houses, and during that client exposure time, they're spending 10 hours or 12 hours. And then, there's some work to be done in the interim once you get under contract and do the negotiations. And then closing, eventually get to closing, and you earn a big $10,000-$15,000 check. And so that is attractive, because a lot of times, especially the newer realtors, are like, wow, I
Seems like
have a
easy
closing
money,
this
yeah?
week. That's right. I think it's easy money. And so it is really about, it's about figuring out that, that this industry, as much as or more than others, in some cases, it takes a lot more work than just showing a few houses and collecting a check. And so, to your other question, how do you avoid the pitfalls, and what are some of the pitfalls that I've seen? Because I've seen my share. I say that your due diligence, your homework, is so critical, and whether that's something that you can read, in a physical book, or see online, whether that's something you can watch in videos or listen to in podcasts and audiobooks, or I think most importantly, you can learn face to face by finding someone who has done it. That's crucial. It's crucial. I think there's a big misconception that people with money and people who are successful are not going to share their secrets, right? But truly, I learned a
All the
long
opposite,
time
yeah.
ago that it's the
Successful
complete
people want more
opposite.
people to be successful, right?
That's right. That's right. It gets to a point that if you are meeting with someone who wants to hold those secrets back, and it's because they're not confident in them, and they're probably putting more of a facade up than is the true story. And so that really is, something to rely on your data, your homework, your due diligence, and you make the best choices you can, and you be adaptable too, right? Flexible and adaptable, and have multiple exit strategies. I mean, I could really go deep as far as how to avoid the pitfalls, and that those are not coming from books; those are coming from experiences.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest benefits that you have, is that you learn from very early age when you were very young. And the thing that it seems easy, but at the end of the day, to be a successful property entrepreneur, you have to have a very good negotiation skills. You need to, like Cory was sharing with us, you need to be able how to do a proper due diligence. This is not as easy to say, oh, due diligence. Do the due diligence one thing, do a proper due diligence is something else. The other thing that you need to be, and I think that Cory will love to talk about this, is you have to be creative in order to package deal to make it attractive to the client. Because, oh, if you have a house that is already a little bit destroyed, and then you painting, and you knew that you're gonna sell it a little bit more expensive, you make a little bit of money. Oh yeah, that's the easy part. But the difficult part is when you find something that have potential to build one more house, and whoever is selling the house it hasn't considered that, and then you take over the house, and then you package to the investors, and you give them a great opportunity. This is what the big money is in the real estate here in we used to we did real estate for 15 years. We sold over 5 million here in London, and I remember that we were managing property for our landlords. And I remember one guy, we have an investor that was telling me, Harry, I give you the money. You choose the house you want, you run it. This is my return. This is what I want. I don't even want to go to see the house. You go and you see the house, pick whatever you. We remember we find one house for these guys, for this guy, and the houses have a garage, right? And I remember that the property was sell. Okay, this is the property, and this is the garage. It was like a 4-bedroom, huge property, and the garage, right? And I'm going to my investor. I said, man, you won't believe the house that this guy is selling. It has 4 bedrooms, gonna give good, very good return. But you know what? It has a huge garage that can be turned into an ensuite. We're gonna get 1K more for that. And this is how we did. The guy bought the house. I brought the team. We make it huge and sweet. And in the end, we make £1,500 extra per month. That was not even on the on the equation. It was just because the way that the garage was situated, and also here in London, probably in US, the same thing. If a neighbor already had done it, you are allowed to do it. There's no way that they can stop you, right? And I saw that already a neighbor did the garage conversion into a room, so we were good to go. There's no way that they can stop. So tell us a little bit more, Cory, because I know that this is your area of expertise, and you and I, we can be talking about deal packages for the whole day, because I love it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So tell us
Let's
a
talk a
little
little bit.
bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about creativity.
That everybody miss. Everybody think that being a property entrepreneur, oh, I just buy the house cheap and I sell it more expensive. They don't understand that you have to be very creative in order to package.
That's right.
You need to know
That's
what you're
right.
talking about,
So
right?
Like I mentioned earlier, if you're looking hard enough for something, you're going to find it, and that includes opportunity, right? So sometimes that opportunity is going to come by putting together, multiple factors and being creative. Seeing what. Looking at something a different way, especially in something that seems so clear cut as real estate. You build the house, you sell the house, you rent the house, whatever that is. It seems like a very step-by-step process that you could read in a book. But there's so much creativity to be had in any industry, but you have to be looking for it. You have to be thinking in a creative or unique mind. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a numbers guy. I'm the son of a college math professor and a CPA. So I'm a numbers guy. I'm a financials guy. However, I try to look consistently for opportunity and a way to creatively create income that people haven't thought
Don't
of.
see exactly.
That's right. That's right. Or they haven't executed.
You have to
Now,
be able to see what other people don't see.
that's
You
right.
need to be able to see where the money is that other people don't see it.
That's right. And some of that is going to be some trial and error, right?
Of
And
course.
that's the nature of creativity and the nature of risk is putting your ideas out there and putting yourself out there, and seeing what works.
But also,
You
Cory,
know,
having a piece of information, and this, of course, comes with experience, having the right information is also key. Let me tell you, share with you an example. Here, for example, in London, there is something that very little people know about it. It's something that we call airspace. So basically, if you have one building here, right? Let me see the camera. Yeah, if you have one building here, this size, and you have another building here, the same size,
yeah,
and the building in the middle is lower, technically you are allowed to go as high as the two buildings in
it's the
between.
adjacent buildings.
Yeah,
Okay.
they call it here in London airspace.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can use because the building number one is taller, the building on the other side is
Three.
taller, and then you are
Yep.
in the middle, lower. So you can, in theory, can go to at the same height that the building is in between. This
Yeah.
is a lot of money because here, if you can build a bedroom flat or a couple of bedroom flat above a full house, you're
That's
talking
right.
about it can cost between 30 to 40. You can sell the house for 2 million. So imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, not too many people have this piece of information. I have it because I've been in the game a long time. I did it for 15 years. So uh, pretty much I know everybody here in London, United Kingdom in this
Yeah.
game, and people like you said, all the successful people. Actually, a Jewish property investor showed me this. I didn't like that for myself. A friend of my
Yep.
property investor showed me, Harry, look for this type of building, look for this type of commercial property, and when they are out there, take it,
That's
because if
right.
you ask for planning permission, you'll be able to go high because there is something in London called airspace, and this is possible. And I didn't have any clue. So, Cory, where do you find this key piece of information that you have that nobody else have that allow you to see the money where other people cannot see, not because they don't see, because they don't have the piece of information that will enable them to do that?
I think there is a part of that is being able to see what we call the path of growth, right? The path of development, and there are some obvious trends that happen in any real estate market. You see, and we know this in our local neighborhood or our city or our state. There are trends that you can follow and say, okay, there are very very numerical trends, right? Like job growth in a certain area, or of course medium home prices or property prices in a certain neighborhood or location. But beyond that, it's about looking at the story and looking at the history, looking at what happens traditionally in that city when a neighborhood starts to redevelop. Does it start on one street? Does it start with 6 houses on a complete street? And once you hit that critical mass, then does it go to the next street, one street over on either side? And it's a lot of it is about paying attention. I know that sounds so simple and sounds so basic, but if you're paying attention, you're actively engaged in whatever way, then you're going to spot these trends. And of course, it's one thing to recognize a trend. It's one thing to identify an opportunity, and it's another thing to put that opportunity together to make money, to be successful. I want to hit on something that you said, which is so crucial to this entire conversation, is that you said that you learned the airspace concept from another investor, from another business person, and it's funny. Funny may not be the right word, but it's interesting how many people who are getting started feel like that they don't they have everything to learn from books, but they see other people in the industry as competition and don't want to learn the lessons from those people. One thing that I have learned over time is that these people around you making money have done it their own way, their own creative way. And the way that I have built a wealth of knowledge is by asking people how they did it, in their lane, in their industry. What is it that sets you apart and gets you to that next level? And so much key, crucial knowledge has been gained. I'll give you an example. I help a lot of people in the foreclosure process, right? And it used to be 6 or 7 years ago, if I saw a foreclosure notice on a property, I would drive to the property, and if I saw that it was vacant and did a little research and saw that the owner of record was deceased, I would just drive away. I thought, well, there's nothing, this is too much of a mess. I'm obviously, that's right. And so,
Cory, when his problem is the best, that's the best way that I want to hear when I go to a property. Then it's a huge problem. Every time they tell me that, I'm like, yeah.
That's it. And so I just started to ask. I discovered the process in which, I knew the way that airship worked and what happens if somebody dies without a will, and obviously the laws may be a little different, different states, different countries, but you figure that process out because you know that there is a process. Mm-hmm. You know that there's a way, and if there's not, then you get down to that. That is the thing that you're figuring out. And now it's almost, it's almost the opposite. If I see that situation, I know that I can help these people because they're stuck. It's difficult. If I, as a real estate investor years ago, and in real estate all the time, was averse to going to that type of property in a deceased owner of record, I know that somebody who doesn't do this all the time, that they may be an heir, there may be 5 heirs, there may be. Back at the end of this last year, I put together a deal in 9 days, and there were 15 heirs, and only one of them was in Waco. I put it together before foreclosure, and that's kind of the total opposite end of that spectrum. But all of those people would have gotten nothing. They would have lost the house. And so the key there is to ask, to be curious, look to people who have done it, build that information and make it your own.
And to go a little bit further, Cory, because the obviously if everybody's doing the same thing, like for example, this looks like a big problem and a lot of work, so obviously everybody in the industry go there and say, no, I don't want to touch this. There's too much trouble, too much headache. And then, but you finally went through and looked into it. Let me tell you a story we have here in London once when I was doing the property business, right? It was a pub that got fired. Oh my God. And then nobody want to touch this pub here in East London. Nobody. That's why I'm done with me, because nobody wanted, right? I was the last choice, you know what I mean? So
right.
the pub got fired. Long story short, people were thinking that they're going to spend like 100, 150 to fix it. And then, because nobody wanted to touch it, because it was so much money or whatever, he ended up with me. And then I arrived to the pub and I'm looking at the pub with my builders. And we see and say, guys, the walls, the structure is fine. We don't see any damage in this. Of course, it's scary because the walls are like black and whatever,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
oh my God, but it looks a little bit scary. But we are touching actually the structure of the whole pub, and I'm thinking this thing was the only thing that needs a little bit of painting.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
what a big fuss about everybody's making on the pub. This pub have nothing. And I'm talking to my bidder. I say, guys, can you check properly because I just don't get it. Why so many people walking out of this thinking that they're going to spend 100, 150? There is no such a thing. This needs a little bit of painting, new furniture, X and that, and we are running.
Yep.
And this is what we did. I said to the guy, listen, you need to give this puppy's home. It's going to be a lot of work. So you need to give me 6 months rent for free because it's a lot of work. And then we're going to pay you the rent. And then we're going to manage the whole thing. It was huge. We managed to do like 9 rooms. It was in very central location in London.
Amazing.
Gosh, after 2 months, the thing was up, running, rented. It looks like a hotel. It was and amazing. And we did it to until actually they sold it, right? We managed until they sold it, and was one of the most profitable things that we did cash flow wise. I'm telling you, back on the day, 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But it was about this Cory that you're sharing with us. It's about embracing and go a little bit for that one nobody wants to touch. So, for example, what made you think in this process that at the beginning you don't want to even touch the deals, and now every time that there is problem, you are like, yeah, I'll
Right.
go
Yeah.
in. If nobody
Yeah.
want, no problem, I'll go, and I want to dig in, and I want to go to the bottom of it, and there is something I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah, so it's a really good question because my decisions were based on my experiences and the way that I had carved out previous to that time, the way I had carved out deals in that scenario, in or from that deal source was, the owner of record or someone close to them was easily contacted. I kind of rested on my communication skills. So the way that I was getting deals where nobody else was at the time was that nobody would go knock on that door.
There you go.
There's that assumption that the person, because they're in a distressed situation and their house is facing foreclosure potentially, is going to react poorly. But if you go knock on the door and you are genuine and you're honest and you say, listen, them. That's right, I'm here to provide a solution, and let's talk through that. And I'll tell you, a lot of those deals or a lot of those properties where I knocked on the door, it didn't result in a deal for me. I still help them, hey, a lot of times it's like step one, have we called your bank?
You even give them the advice and then you move on
to right.
You couldn't package, but at least, some
that's
of
right.
them end up in the deal, right?
Yep. And so to answer your question, the reason that I was turned away from those deals at the time, the ones where it was vacant and the owner of record was deceased, is that I didn't have it fell out of my comfort zone. My comfort zone that I had built in that deal source was to go and speak with an owner. And I knew that I wasn't going to speak with the deceased owner. And so it was just like I cut that off. And it was part of the lessons in that's life and business. There's always that, man, if I would have known this back then.
Oh my God. That's what I'm talking, Cory. That piece of information that only comes by doing it. The more you do it, the better you become. People think, oh, I'm going to become a multimillionaire property real estate investor and so on. But everybody can do it. But the thing is that this skill is skill based. It's not talent based. Is everybody can become a property multimillionaire. However, this is how it goes. the more you try, the better you become. It's
That's
like
it.
driving, exactly like you said. It's not like you read the book about proper real estate and then you go and invest. It doesn't work like that. It's
That's
like
right.
swimming or driving a car, right? The more
That's
you
it.
practice, the better you become.
Yeah.
And by practicing, you will discover pieces of information that you didn't have at the beginning. And when you have this piece of information that nobody has, because you actually discovered it like digging, then you have something unique because you can take deals that, that people don't want it, and you are like, oh my god, these people don't want it and I love it. They don't want it and I want them
Yep.
more. You know.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that's the thing. So then, Cory, can you share with us what are the 5 steps to make your first million?
Okay. Yeah. So I wrote these down a bit so I can
Go for it.
refer to them. So the first one I have is that you must give before you receive. Okay, and this one's going to hit home for a lot of people because when you're getting into a business, no matter the business, you're getting in there to make money, and you want some of that instant gratification in the form of profit. You've got to pay bills, and I understand that completely. But I tell a lot of my new agents that there are going to be a lot of dues to be paid by your sweat equity, your work. There's going to be a lot of working quote unquote for free, which is truly just building those communications, building those contacts, and building yourself as the expert in that field. In our field, obviously, that's real estate. In order to establish yourself
Yeah.
in that field,
It's a way to make sure they're committed or not.
that's right. That's
You
right.
will know
And
if they are as driven as you because you were committed, my friend. From 13 years old, you said, I'm going to do this, and that's it. Nobody managed to talk you out of this. So you want the
yeah,
people, you want to find out the people working for you if they are committed, right?
that's it. That's it. It's the commitment to it, and in any highly competitive industry or
It
arena,
is.
it's about putting in the work. It's about putting in the work, and sometimes, especially at first, not seeing an immediate return. If you want an immediate return for these 40 or 50 hours that you put in to work, your best bet is likely to go work for someone else, right?
Exactly.
Up front, if
It's the same
that's
thing we're talking. It takes more than 50 hours to develop a skill. And if they don't have
oh,
the
for
skill,
sure.
they are useless in real estate. That's the truth, right?
Definitely. So that's a big number one. Number two I have is don't be afraid to be bold. Okay. In my career, a lot of these successes that I've had were about putting myself out there. You use the analogy, learn how to swim. Well, I did it a few times by jumping in the deep end of the pool, right? Versus
Wow.
going into the shallow end. I'll go ahead and jump into the deep end and then learn how to swim. And so, whether it's in transactions, whether it's in a specific project or specific property, whether it's in how you market yourself, you have to take that extra step. A lot of times that means doing things that other people are not doing, and in that way, you're going to fail. You're going to have failures, but you can't see it as failures. You have to see it as just another step to success, right? So you have to be bold. You have to get yourself out there and try things. That's really it. Try it, see how it works, and if it works, great. You keep doing that thing. And if it doesn't, then you try something else. It's a part of that, like putting yourself out there, trying things that other people aren't doing and seeing what the result is. So, number three I have as create your identity, create your brand, and stick to it. Right. Um, People, especially nowadays with just these interviews that we're doing now, social media, and all you do to be visible as a brand, as a company, as a person, you are hopefully successful in that, and you are visible. And so you want to stick to a specific brand. What's funny? So our company, Haus Realty, my company, we have this like brand as a, we are that company to go the extra mile, to put in the hustle, to put in we have the grit, the feet on the street. But we also, put our logo out there. We do as many key sponsorships as possible, any kind of collaborations that we can do. We're consistently promoting the brand and putting ourselves in front of people. And we stick to it. It's a culture thing from the top to the bottom. And so really it's crucial to create that identity, understand what that identity is in the market, and how it looks like to your market and to the public, and stick to that. If you put some sort of content out there that is too far off brand, you do run the risk to an extent of losing those followers' interest that you have gained and worked so hard for. You put one piece of content out that really, I know this somewhat counteracts my my number two, to be bold, right? But it's strategically bold, right? Creating, sticking with who you are. And I think the easiest way to do that is to be yourself. I know that's so cliche, but figure out what your strengths are, and build a personality, an identity, or a public personality, an identity and a brand around that. Because there's nothing, once you start to see some success, there's nothing easier than being yourself. So it's relying on that, being genuine, being honest to yourself, and that really relays well to the public, to your customers. So that was my number 3. Number 4, this is a huge one. You should see marketing as an investment. Okay, it is not an expense. I'm not preaching accounting here, right? I know that your CPA wants you to put marketing as an expense, and I'm okay with that for tax purposes. But for business purposes, marketing is an investment. And truly, in some investments, you're going to see an immediate payoff, and other investments, you're going to get the payoff sometime in the future. It is undetermined. So you must treat it like an investment, continuously put time, effort, money, skill into that marketing, without, this is the hardest part, without sometimes knowing exactly how it's going to pay off. What you know is that if you invest, that it will someday pay off. It's like a classic investment where people have been telling you for years and years to take a portion of your income and put it into savings, right? Soon enough, that savings will generate more income, generate interest, and there's going to be highs and lows in the market. But if you do it consistently and you continue to put some of those savings into an investment over the long term, it's going to pay off. It is so true with marketing. So again, you see marketing as an investment, more so than an expense. So if you get that mindset, it works, right? It works. So the 5th one I have is, let me see this here. Cool. The 5th one I have is know your customer base. And I know that sounds so, chapter 1, rule 1 in textbooks, but I mean that in a deeper sense. I mean that as truly getting to know what your client, customer, end user experiences when they interact with your company, when they see you, when they see your brand. Go from their side of it and try to understand their experience. I have had more success solving issues, figuring out the pain points of my customers or my clients, and working towards a solution or a resolution than any other. Just, I'm gonna go and invest in a piece of property and rent it out, and there are successes there, but truly at the end of the day, the way that I filled those properties or found those properties or created that deal is because I was solving a problem that somebody had, and I was fitting a need. I was finding the pain point or the problem and approaching the solution from the mind of the customer, from the mind of the client. And that really has resonated over and over and throughout multiple examples in my career. I'll end the 5 on a really good example. So in the state of Texas, this isn't everywhere in the US, but in the state of Texas, we pay property taxes. Okay. And what as a broker, a realtor, and a real estate investor, when I'm trying to reach clients as a realtor, I know that if I want to target my audience, property owners are the ones paying property taxes. And guess who likes to pay property taxes? Nobody. Not a single person wants to pay property taxes, right? So that is a pain point. And so in the state of Texas, there is a process in order to protest your appraised value from the tax district. And so, this
is where they all hang around, yeah.
That's right. And so I decided, after getting a lot of calls and say, hey, how do I go about this process? How do I value my property? How do I, reduce this amount that I have to pay every year? I decided I was going to start a, property tax workshop that homeowners and property owners could come to, find out for free. Again, we're going to go back to number 1 on working for free. That people can come learn the process, because it is tough, it is intimidating, and it is absolutely a universal pain point among my target client and customer base, right? So it's kind of taking the whole 1 through 5 here, starting at 5. I found the pain point that was consistent with so many of my client or potential client base. And then as an investment, right, I put together something that helped them. I didn't receive any immediate benefit off of it, or I didn't plan to receive any immediate benefit off of it. But of course, there was news that has come around. Now I've done quite a few, presented in front of hundreds of people. And it's like, the publicity that comes from it, the setting myself as the real estate expert in front of all of those potential clients, it's tenfold. Again, going back to the number 1 is it was working for free at the time, but it's like you find these problems that clients will have either as a whole or as an individual. You find what that easy solution is for them, where you can use your skills and you go for it. You're bold. You just take the jump. If you are honest and genuine and truly just looking to help people, it will come back tenfold. So those are my 5. I hope those help somebody out there.
That's fantastic, Cory. And with that note, we're going to conclude our podcast, Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Cory break that wall and achieve the first million in sales. Bye from now, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Harry. Take care.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.